Before we begin, we would like to say that, in our opinion, what follows is not suitable for children, or for those of you who are Marxists, woke wankers, or complete fucking Ming-mongs.
Right. Should we get started?
Yes!
Right, I'm ready when you are.
Here we go then. Hold tight, everybody.
Oh, for God's sake!
Piss off!
They are socially conscious citizens.
They are sheep.
Yes, it's a very apt description.
Oh no. What are you doing?
You can't rewrite history. Not one line.
People spend all their time making nice things and other people come along and break them.
You're the cause of this disaster.
No.
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 Why am I surrounded by idiots?
Hello, Grumpies. Greetings from the Shadowband dimension. Remember when Sixie said this?
Decadent, degenerate, and rotten to the core.
He could just as easily be describing modern Western society as Gallifrey. The Marxist woke left are a death cult, sacrificing both their own children and yours on the altar of androgyny. The fact is, you can have as much intolerance as you're prepared to tolerate. But how bad do things have to get before you finally stand up to them and say no and stop letting them get away with it? Have we reached peak woke yet? I doubt it. Just when you thought it was safe to go back to the cinema, here comes Ray Palpatine back again to indoctrinate your children in another toxic trilogy that will be even worse than the last one. Darth Kennedy is the feminist witch who killed Star Wars. Feige the fuckwit is the trans ally who killed the MCU. And R2-D2 is the militant homosexual who killed Doctor Who. Now, I know what you're thinking. I thought it was Chris Chibnall who killed Doctor Who with a timeless child retcon. Well, a lot of people think that, and they're wrong. Just as wrong as all the dumb fucks who think Lee Harvey Oswald killed Kennedy. When it comes to the assassination and mutilation of the Doctor, there is no lone gunman. Like the plot to take out Kennedy, the plot to take down the Doctor had plenty of co-conspirators. Chris Chibnall may have been responsible for the retcon of the Timeless Child, but he wasn't the first showfucker to retcon the Doctor. Lefty Muftwat, the writer of strong whammon characters like River Bloody Song, was Chibnall's enabler. The left know all about being enablers of abuse. They're the ones who want to cut off your teenage daughter's tits, after all, and compel you to agree with the delusion that just because she was born with a vagina, she's not a woman. Trans is the new misogyny. The reason Muftwat writes strong whammon like Amy Pond, River Song and Clara Oswald is that he's a wimp, and probably a gimp, who's grateful that his wife lets him have sex with her. That's why he wrote Matt Smith's Doctor as himself. He's the ultimate Mary Sue. The geek who lacks confidence with women isn't just a trope, it's Muftwat being autobiographical. The problem with River Bloody Song is that every time she turns up, the Doctor is on the back foot. She knows stuff he doesn't. She can fly the TARDIS better than he can. When it comes to River, the Doctor is her companion. Now, that's the sort of thing you do as a one-off, not as a template for the entire fucking series. It was Muftwat who signed off on Neil, open marriage is a great idea Gaiman, establishing that Time Lords can change gender in the otherwise brilliant The Doctor's Wife. With that established, it was a piece of piss for Moffat to gender swap the Master into Missy, which then paved the way for Chibnall gender swapping the Doctor into the vagina imposter of feminazi Jodie Whittaker. The Timeless Child is a blatant rewriting of history and doesn't respect the past. But then lefties love to rewrite the past to align it with their Marxist worldview. The left love to talk about cultural appropriation, but all they ever do is appropriate characters people love and mutate them into something they're not. Why go to all the trouble of creating an original character that people might not take to, when there's an existing character with a built-in fanbase there already? Let's just take that and change it. And because fan sheep are completists at heart and hate the idea of missing out, the Marxists are confident that they will accept any old shite and won't get off the fan bus like I did. Despite the ratings for Shittaker falling faster than Disney's share price, the BBC doubled down and took the next logical step and race swapped the Doctor. Now, they can do that if they want to, and you can like it if you want to.
But it'd still be a very stupid thing to do.
As we all know, only non-left whitey is racist, which is why the lefty Democrats get away with keeping black voters on the political plantation, and RTD2 can race swap the Doctor and get away with it. Why? Because they're all scared of being called racists if they say that's bollocks. That's why they did it. Newsflash, they will always find a reason to label you as whatever they need to label you as in order to get you to sit down, shut up, and do as you're told. The quiet life you think you're going to get if you just keep your head down is never going to happen. Imagine for a moment that the BBC said they were bringing back Luther, but he was going to be played by a white actor. The left would go apeshit and cry racism. But a black Doctor Who or a black Sherlock Holmes, that's not anti-white racism, not to mention incredibly patronising and lazy, because the left says there's no such thing. The Little Black Mermaid, the on-purpose not white mermaid, is acceptable racism, in the same way that attacking Posey Parker or Riley Gaines is acceptable violence. And where did the concept of acceptable violence come from? The left. I've said it before on this channel, but it's true, the left really are like Daleks. You will obey, or you will be exterminated. Or turned into Robomen. In the upcoming socialist utopia, those are your only two choices. The Marxist invasion of Earth is well underway, and they haven't turned the whole of Bedfordshire into a giant mining area, they've turned the whole planet into one big Stanford prison experiment. RTD2 is an atheist homosexual who labels the non-left as murderers, bastards, abusers and liars, which is very tolerant and inclusive of him. And murderers is not something you could ever accuse the acceptable violence-loving left of, even though Stalin and Mao both have a hell of a lot of red in their ledgers. Liars, well, the left always accuse their opponents of doing what they're doing. It's the inversion deflection, which sounds like a Big Bang episode title, but it's a standard lefty tactic. Trump colluded with Russia, went the narrative, when all the time the one doing the collusion was Hillary Clitoris. As for the recent Labour attack ad on Fishy Sunak, saying he's soft on pedos, ignoring the fact that Keir Starlin was on the sentencing council for God knows how long, that's down there with Tony Blair's demon eyes, as a low point in the Americanisation of our political discourse. Attack the policy, not the person, please. And if Labour say they will be tough on pedos, then you can be sure they will be the exact opposite, because that doesn't chime with the alphabet mafia. And Labour don't even know what a woman is. And you know you're onto a loser when even tedious man-child Owen Jones isn't on side. As for abusers, well, who do you think it is that wants to cut your daughter's tits off and indulge your son's depression and confusion by giving him puberty blockers? Who is it that attacked Posey Parker in Australia? Who was it assaulted Riley Gaines? You know you're onto a loser when even trans poster boy Bruce Jenner isn't on side. As for human stick insect Dylan Mulvaney, what the fuck is that all about? The trans left idiots like Eddie Izzard are feminising men and erasing women at the same time. And the lefty feminists are collaborating with them, which is fucking nuts. RTD2 is a guilty whitey homosexual and anti-white racist who is also erasing women by putting drag queen Jerry Hoffer in front of your children. But RTD, the original from 2005, was just as bad as Chibnall and Mufftwat. He retconned the Doctor too. Which is why he won't retcon the timeless child retcon, no matter how much #Hartnell is first folks might hope he will in the name of sanity and making Doctor Who great again. When Sarah Jane and Joe Grant left him, the Doctor was essentially a stoic. But RTD rewrote the Doctor as an emotional man-baby, a PTSD sufferer from the horrors of the Time War, a man who, when the chips are down, turns out to be a coward. At the end of Parting of the Ways, Dr. Eccles sells out humanity to the Daleks and has to be rescued by the deus ex machina of guess who? Yes, a strong woman. When Rose Tyler got trapped in the wrong universe, Tennant gets all tearful of poor love. When Lucy Saxon shoots John Sims' master, Dr. Tennant turns on the waterworks again because the poor baby doesn't want to be on his own. He wants his psychopath former bestie with him. That's not character development. That's a homosexual rewriting the Doctor to be an emo junkie and more like the feminine men running the show. Lefty Muff-Twat had Dr. Smithy completely lose his shit over some obnoxious skinny titless ginger and go into an extended sulk, the poor lamb. If Time Lords really are so advanced that they regard humans as pets in the same way that humans regard cats and dogs, then yes, it's sad when your pet dies, but it's not the end of the sodding world. Your cat dies, it's sad, and you miss having them around, and then 6 months later you get another one. What's the big fucking deal? Amy Bloody Pond? She's the sexual predator who tried to rape Dr. Smithy, if you remember, but we just laughed that off. When, if the situations had been reversed, same scene, same dialogue, don't change a thing, but now it's Graham, say, who's trying that on Shittaker's Doctor. Not so funny now, is it? But then, the left are no strangers to double standards, are they? Only women are victims of domestic abuse, not men. Only men are child abusers, never women, even though it's feminist women who are at the forefront of mutilating your children. Only men engage in revenge porn. No woman has ever, in all of recorded history, ever falsely accused a man of rape and ruined his life. Fuck off. Every fictional character has constraints and limitations. A good writer will work within those constraints, fill in the gaps, and still create something new. A woke writer will just trash them regardless, because all they're concerned about is remaking the character into something else. And don't give me the Sherlock defence, even Muff-Twat and Gay-Tits stuck to the essentials when they updated it. Yes, there have been female versions of Sherlock, such as Enola Holmes, but they are still an alternate version to the original, which is a very different thing from changing the original, retconning Captain Kirk to be gay and in love with Spock, for fuck's sake. Consistency is part of any long-running character's appeal, allied to their defining traits. Once established, the audience's expectations are set, and when you break them by, for example, making him a woman, you shouldn't be surprised that the audience stops watching. And when it comes to cutie gay wank, history will repeat itself. Russell C.U.N.T. Davis, Lefty Muff-Twat, Chris Chibnall and Nick Sherlock Holmes Vanity Project Briggs over at Jizfinish have, between them, conspired to degenerate the Doctor from an appealingly eccentric individual into anyone or anything. And if the Doctor can be anybody, then that means he's nobody. What was it Syndrome said? When everyone's special, nobody will be. If anybody can be the Doctor, and if the Doctor can be anything, even a pound-shot fucking Chewbacca, then that means there's nothing special about him. Nothing different about him. Nothing unique about him. Nothing individual about him. And undermining individuality is a dangerous message to poison your kid's mind with. We are not all the same, and we will never be equal, especially intellectually. I found the hidden deer in 2 seconds flat, did you? The left are the ones running the global village because the non-left were asleep at the wheel and weren't paying attention. Number 6 resisted the village authorities to stay an individual. The left talk about celebrating individuality and diversity, but that's just a front for conformity. You can be as individual as you like, so long as you think the same as the left do. Skagra would approve of that message. The left, to be fair, aren't interested in old fuckers like me who are still a few years south of 60. They're way too late for me and they know it. What they're interested in is your children. They want to brown shirt your kids into the groupthink. The Hitler Youth of the past are the alphabet mafia of today. Society has Stockholm Syndrome, and until the sheep wake up, the Marxists will continue to feed their children to the wolves. 6 or Skagra. Your choice. RTD2 won't retcon the Childless Child retcon for the simple reason that he and his fellow Marxists have already retconned the Doctor. Even if he is played by David Fuckwit Tennant again, he's definitely not the man he used to be. Until the next time, resist the Marxists, don't be a sheep, and stay grumpy.
If you're a lefty and have been affected by anything in this video, you know what you can do, don't you?
Fuck off!